Got the urge to want to talk to you guys while I was cooking again. I am making a ribeye. The sirloins have been great and so have the roasts, but I needed a little bit more fat today, so I wanted to have a ribeye. It is so cold. It is so cold down in Florida right now. Now I know for you guys up north, you're probably laughing at me right now, but it was 46 degrees this morning while I was out walking, so that was cold for me. I'm not used to that type of weather, and I only had a couple of hoodies on. I didn't have any warm weather clothes for that. I got all my hunting clothes packed away. Not to mention, I don't fit in my hunting clothes anymore. That's one of the problems I have. I have to buy a new bib and everything if I want to go hunting. Anyway, the reason I wanted to talk to you is I got a comment earlier. Where did I put my phone down at? Here we go. But I got a comment earlier and I wanted to share it with you because it got me thinking about something that's kind of poignant and goes into my history a little bit and my ministry some, so stick around if you're interested. Pavel Palukchu said, "You look and sound like a soldier. If every civilian was like this, we would have a different world." Now, I don't know if he's an American or not, but obviously my relationship to the military is going to be toward the American military, so I tell a little bit of my history here. So let's see. I've always had great respect for the military. I was in ROTC for 3 years in high school and almost joined the National Guard. I decided I was going to sow my oats first, though, and I moved out to Texas with a friend of mine to roommate and start school again. Shortly after starting school, I married a girl I met there, and I was making good money in sales, so eventually I left school. Ha! This took me down a direction I didn't anticipate going until I got started talking. I use voice to text. Anyway, I got pretty comfortable with that and started putting on weight. I even became a store manager at age 23. I was the youngest in the company. What my promotion ultimately was a 30 to 40 extra hours of work per week and a decrease in pay. A year later, the national chain that owned our company liquidated the company. I went to work at another electronic sales company, but I told them I didn't want to be a manager. Not if I'm going to be paid less and made to work more. I did all right in sales for a while, but sales slowly became more and more difficult to make money doing in the electronics industry. I tried to join the Army, but I was about 235 pounds at the time and 26 years old. They said that I didn't have the right body fat ratio. I said, well, wouldn't basic training fix that? And they said, probably, but it doesn't work that way. I don't want to say I regret anything, but if I had made better decisions from a position of discipline, I would have made things a lot easier on myself over my life. It's one thing to know the path. It's quite another thing to follow it. I know this seems like a lot for an answer to your short comment, but that compliment hits me at the core. I have tremendous respect for people who stand opposed defending freedom. I just pray they remember that is what they're fighting for when they have certain decisions to make. This is why I do this. People can learn from the bad decisions of others in history. Well, my story is loaded with them. This diet was such an amazing catalyst for change in thinking. I can't help but scream its praises from the rooftops. Thank you, Pavel. And that's absolutely the truth. I mean, I'm getting better all the time, not just in the things you see, but things that I got to deal with on my own. And I know you've got things you've got to deal with on your own. And the things that I recommend that you check out, if you're dealing with what I'm dealing with, I think you'll find a lot of comfort in those things. But I can say that if you've made bad decisions, you know it, and you know what they are, and you know what you need to fix. It's just a matter of knowing the path and following the path. Gosh, I think I heard that in a movie somewhere. But anyway, still true. You know, I'm a child of the 70s and 80s. And it was a great time to grow up, and it was a not so great time to grow up. They were tough times, but they were good times. We had freedom. I mean, we could make decisions, and we could live with the consequences. That's what my story was about. I made decisions and I lived with the consequences. But at some point, I realized I gotta stop banging my head against the wall, making the same dumb decisions and wondering why life doesn't turn out any better. And I have a feeling that I'm not alone. And we don't have to parade out all of our issues to get at the point that if you're seeking pleasure, if you're seeking happiness, if you have hedonistic desires, if you have desires for things, if you're worried about obtaining a lot of stuff, status, we were all going to be rock stars in the 80s. If you get caught up in the details of life, you'll find you're just chasing after the wind. Every time you think you've got it in your hands, no matter how high you climb, you're still just chasing the wind, and it just runs away from you. Having the attitude change of doing a job for the reward of doing the job came from learning the self-discipline that this diet has taught me, that this way of eating has taught me. Yes, this way of eating, because it is a way of eating, and we do want to separate ourselves from the fad diet notion. I get that. But the discipline that I learned by keeping out all of the things that I knew that I don't need, and because it was so easy, it wasn't like I was forcing myself to choke down salads the way, you know, I'd done that before. You can only do that so long before you start off, at least in my case, it wasn't all that good to begin with. I didn't enjoy the food, so being disciplined and forcing yourself to basically be an ascetic, as I mentioned yesterday, it's kind of like whipping yourself, if that is, you know, I know some people say they love salads. I don't know if I believe them, but I know some people say they love salads. I think they've convinced themselves that they love salads, you know, but I'm not going to say that definitively. You know, I just know that for me, I am so glad that I don't have to think about salads anymore, okay? That's ultimately what I'm trying to say when it comes to salads. But eating a diet like this is just, I look forward to every meal. So I'm not really missing anything of the pleasure of food. I just got it narrowed down to a particular type. But every time I eat it, it makes me feel healthier again. You know, it makes me feel better, and I'm watching my body change even now. I mean, I was down to 183 pounds yesterday when I got on the scale. I have no idea the last time I was 183 pounds, but it's the lowest I've been since I've been on this way of eating. Changed now 21 months. 21 months and 5 days. But there were a lot of mistakes along the way because I wasn't disciplined to begin with. I was disciplined enough to start though. And you have that in you. That's what you need to know, is that all you got to do is be disciplined enough to start. Just start moving in the right direction. Don't worry about how am I going to get there. All right? What I did is said I'm gonna start. I remember I had a regular cereal or something for breakfast, whatever it was. It wasn't Lion Diet, and I just said, screw it. I'm gonna get up and do it. And I went over and I started cooking meat, and I just grabbed my camera because I've been doing YouTube for a while, doing this video game thing I was doing for a while with my son to try to help him learn about YouTube, to make sure he wasn't broadcasting too much personal stuff, and here I am doing it. That's the funny thing. But I just started making the meat and recording, and now here I am 21 months and 5 days later, and I'm the best shape of my life, feeling better than I ever have before. But it all started with that first time I said, I'm just gonna do it. I already had a lot of meat, and I had some steaks. I had a lot of deer meat because I had been hunting the past few years. So if you don't have a lot of meat, it probably helps to have a lot of meat to start with. And I just started cooking. And I started adding salt. And the salt has been great because I know from doing Atkins, when I was eating only meat, if I did not take vitamins and eat my veggies, I would get weak, and I think it was because I was missing the electrolytes and the vitamins were pushing me over the edge or something. They were giving me the extra that I needed. I don't know what it was, but I skipped taking multivitamins for 4 days and I felt like I was gonna die. I had so big of a crash. I had such a huge crash of energy that it was like I was completely useless. I mean, I was laying on the couch all day and couldn't move. I got up and ate something and took some vitamins, and I kept doing that for a couple of days, and I started to feel better. So, I mean, that was scary when I did that on Atkins, but I thought, well, that's why I got to take vitamins. Apparently meat don't have enough vitamins. But I was wrong. Clearly I was wrong, because what's working for me now is working. And I've had a lot of people tell me, hey, you need to quit doing the salt. And somebody else was telling me that it's just a marketing ploy. Hey, it is probably a part of a marketing ploy, because I know Redmond does some good advertising, but I love their salt. I don't like other salts. I can tell the difference. If I have margarita salt when I go out to a bar or something like that, it doesn't have, it's kosher salt, but sometimes it doesn't taste like the kosher salt because it's all bleached white. And the kosher salt I have is Redmond salt. You can see that it's not bleached white. It's got all the trace minerals and stuff in it. But anyway, I've had a lot of comments about salt, so I wanted to get to that. All the changes that I've experienced came as this diet was the catalyst. So that's why I talk about the diet so much. And my faith is a part of me. So I share with you my faith too, because it's helped me in that area. Self-discipline is one of the fruits of the Spirit, and it's something that I am very, very thankful to have finally pounded through my thick head. Well, my steak's about to be ready. Let me check the temperature on it. See, this is a good medium rare. But I mean, when you do little things to get disciplined like that, where you get used to structuring because of food, something you're going to do all the time, it kind of forced me to learn the discipline in the little areas. And eventually those little areas started growing into other areas, and it became as I've heard Jordan Peterson talk about, it's not when you start fixing these little things in your life, it's not just a linear effect, it's an exponential effect. You start having things just going in the right direction in all areas. And that's why I say it's been working for me on my physical, my mental, my spiritual, and my financial health. Those little areas where you're careful not to spend a little extra money on this or that, like going to a convenience store and buying a soda for $1.89 or $1.99 in some cases, or $2.19, when you can get a 2-liter bottle of it for 99 cents, doesn't make any sense at all. But for me, it doesn't make any sense to buy either one of them anymore. But the point is that we wind up overpaying for convenience, because those are the little sacrifices that we don't need to make if we want to have good financial health. Well, it's the same thing with our food. We make the wrong sacrifices there, then we're going to wind up with bad physical health. And that's why I keep doing this. That's why I keep coming back and trying to encourage you guys, because I know some of you might see this for the very first time, or maybe some of you are as stubborn as I am, and you don't see anything as real until you've watched somebody do it for a long time, and then you see that they keep getting better and better, and then you realize that maybe I can climb out of the hole I'm in too, if that idiot could climb out of the hole he's in. So it's time for you to say, screw it, I'm going to get up and do it. I'll see you next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?